What's going on, everybody? We're back, and we're with OJ McDuffie, talking about the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills facing the Ravens this week. OJ, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Football season's over for me,
Oh,
but it's not over for everyone else. So I'm pretty stoked about the rest of the season for sure.
yeah. And this is your third time coming on. We really appreciate you coming on once again.
Man, I'm happy you guys want me back, man. I appreciate that, man. That's showing some love right there. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. I love having you because every single time we get an actual, an NFL player's opinion on the NFL, it's a lot different of an opinion than just ours because we don't really have the knowledge you do.
Well, I can't tell, man. You guys are pretty smart. You guys know a lot about the game, man. I'm super impressed by what you guys are doing for sure.
All right, thank you. What are your overall thoughts on the Miami Dolphins season?
Disappointment, obviously. I think you think about a team that went 11-6 last year, made the playoffs, even though we got torched in Kansas City last year, made the playoffs the year before, even though we got torched in Buffalo that year. You expect this team to continue to be on that same trend of making the playoffs. You've got, when you come back, you've got the same quarterback, you got the same running backs. You add a guy like Jonnu Smith, you got pretty much the same offensive line, same wide receivers. You expected that team to perform a lot better. And then they did. And they came up way short. They know it. And they talk about it now. Now they're trying to figure out what they need to do to change, man. But that team came up really, really short this year. Defensively, I thought that, once Anthony Weaver figured some things out, I thought they played the best ball. And they were the best part of our team this past year. We got to, replace a few guys. And that happens every single year. But you got to get the right guys in that locker room. You got to get the right guys on both sides of the ball. And that's always key in order for your teams to be successful. So, and of course, like the most important thing is you got to have a healthy quarterback throughout the season. That's always critical in this league and at most levels, even in college games. Your starting quarterback, your QB1 is out, your team's going to struggle, and that's what the Dolphins did this year.
Yeah. What do you think the Dolphins are actually lacking that's setting us apart from a team like the Bills that every year they're competing? We have the talent. Yeah. I don't know really what the problem is.
Yeah, you know what? I think it comes down to physicality. You look at the Bills, they're a physical team on both sides of the football. They've got a quarterback and Josh Allen. I think he's played in 140 some straight games. That's durability. So those are things that really boils down to. We got to get tougher in the trenches. Got to get a couple guards that are physical. I do like Aaron Brewer. I do like Austin Jackson when he gets back. I don't know what we're going to do about Teron Armstead. I think that we'll be all right there with the young fella that's coming in. I just think that in the trenches we got to get a lot tougher. I thought D-line was pretty good for us, but we were banged up on the edges. Chop Robinson came on at the end, but when you lose a Jalen Phillips and you lose a Bradley Chubb, you're in trouble against a lot of teams because those guys are such good players. So we just got to get tougher, on the offense and defensive line. That's where it all starts at.
Yeah, and obviously I think the Bills' physicality is one of the main reasons why they're one of the best teams in the league. Because now that they have a run game with James Cook, Ty Johnson, and unfortunately Ray Davis is hurt, but Ray Davis is in there as well with Josh Allen and pairs super nicely. And Josh Allen, I think, is probably the most physical quarterback in the league.
Yeah, not even a question. I mean, he's tough to deal with, and he invites contact, and I don't think very many guys want to hit him. He's a big guy, a strong guy, and and he packs a punch, man. So that run game is what it does, man. When you're physical like that, the run game and defense can travel. They can play anywhere with run game defense. You can play in any type of weather with a run game and defense, and that's what the Buffalo Bills do. And not only do they play well in those type of environments, man, they thrive in them. I mean, they really do. I mean, to see, them put up so many points in the snow or if it's cold or it just doesn't matter, man. That's a sign of a great team right there.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one of the things that I know Landon wants to talk about is we had you on a couple days before the Thursday Night Football game where Tua suffered his injury. What are your overall thoughts on that first matchup, that game?
Well, it's ironic that, that Hamler was the ones that could cuss Tua in that situation, considering what he went through. That was our first big test, I think, of the season. And can we match up against the big boys? And the fact that, we went in there and could not, that showed us where we need to work on. So, then when you lose to it for a few games there and you got other guys that aren't ready, I thought Skylar Thompson should have been a decent backup, not a great backup, because who has a great backup? They were great backups. They'd probably be starting for somebody.
Yeah.
That's usually the case. But the fact that Skylar was not able to go in there and hold it down for us, Snoop Huntley, all the guys we had to bring in to try to hold it down until Tua got back, it was it was eye-opening for a lot of us down here that this team wasn't quite where it needed to be in order to compete, not just with Buffalo and some of the great teams in the league, but within our division as well. We lost to the Jets at the end of the season. So, I just think that this team has a long way to go. They got to figure some things out in this offseason, and they got to find a way to get over the hump. Because right now, Buffalo is going to be good for another decade. We got to figure out a way to get in there and play against those guys.
Yeah, and ideally, we end up just competing like how the Vikings and the Lions were this year. Hopefully, it could be something like that down the line.
Yeah, well, other than what the Vikings did the other night, right?
Yeah, that was rough.
I couldn't believe that. Yeah, I was shocked. But you're right, though. You get a division where you got 3 teams that make the playoffs, including the Green Bay Packers, along with those other 2 teams, man. That's what you want your division to be. And our division's been that way before. We've been in a division where it's been the Buffalo, us, and the Jets and the Patriots, or 3 of the 4 possibly making the playoffs. Now it's like it's Buffalo, and then everybody else is, seeing where they're going to stack up in the draft. So we got to figure out how to, to get back into the mix there, at least fighting for a wild card spot, if not fighting for the division.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think what we saw in the playoffs was it almost looked like Jets Sam Darnold, where he was seeing ghosts. He was wide-eyed the whole game.
He got sacked 8 times.
Yeah, he had a lot of pressure against him, and he was not performing at the way that he did all year.
The Lions,
all
you got to do is pressure him, get him down, and he'll start second-guessing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He holds on to the ball for a little bit, too.
Yeah. I agree, Landon. Yeah, and I thought he'd gotten over that. Everybody thought he'd gotten over that, especially when you got, Jefferson and Addison and all the guys that he has to throw the rock to. You think that, you wouldn't get fooled this time of your career. And I feel bad for Darnold, man. I think he was looking at a nice little contract if things would have continued to go well for him. He probably will get a nice contract, but probably not as good as it would have been. But, you're right. You cannot hold on to the rock in this league. Defensive linemen and defensive ends, they're just too good, and you've got to make your decision, usually pre-snap. If you don't make it pre-snap, if you get fooled, you're going to get sacked or you're going to make a bad decision. And, when you're seeing the field so well, like some of these quarterbacks are nowadays, some of these quarterbacks, the ball it seems like the game is so much slower for them, which is great. That's what you really want. You want the game to be super slow and you see everything ahead of time, get rid of the ball, know where you're going with the football. And I think that Sam Darnold, he just had a hard time with that. And, man, what a mess it was the other night.
Yeah, that was definitely a rough game. Landon, what do you have to say? Because I know you were pretty hyped up until the Tua injury.
During the Bills game?
Yeah.
It was. We dominated you guys. We were live when it kind of killed the flow when Tua got hurt, which sucked. But it was a great win seeing all that everyone said over the offseason about how Bills don't have enough talent to compete. Dolphins, Jets are better. It was great that this season we swept both of them.
The Jets had a horrific year this year.
You think you had it bad? Imagine being a Jets fan.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you think about Rodgers? Do you think he should come back?
I hope he does, man. Because I think he's good. Somebody's good to tee off on as a defensive line. And I know what he does in terms of taking up a lot of salary cap and limited the number of players they can have on their football team because of that. Aaron Rodgers is a hell of a talent, man. Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer. And, the GM of that team, as it appears, gets rid of the head coach and the GM. And, we'll see what happens, who they bring in there. But, I think he's good for football. I know TV feels that way. But it's also good for teams that don't like him, because people tune in to see him fail or people tune in to see him succeed. So, he's good for football. Though. I hope he comes back.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who they hire at head coach.
I know. Yeah.
That's going to be a good one.
I know. I mean, I'm seeing online. Online's not everything. There's a lot of talk about Rex Ryan, which I really don't believe is the move.
Really?
Just because with how the league is now, most of the new head coaches that get hired are all younger offensive guys. And I mean, I don't know how old Rex Ryan is, but
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it'd be a pretty Jets thing to do, though.
Yeah. I mean, the Jets have been the Jets for so long.
What I said over the offseason, the Jets will be the Jets.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, how are you feeling about Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer? Do you think this is like they're on the hot seat?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. You know, our owner came out right after the loss and said they were coming back, but he said basically don't get it twisted. You know, this is definitely a prove it year. So we'll see. You know, the fact that I talked about earlier that we've been to the playoffs a couple years, then missed this year and had a kind of a miserable finish. That's not acceptable down here. Our owner's only goal is to win a championship. You know, all these owners, that's their only goal is to win a championship. You think about it, they've got everything else they want in the world. You know what I mean? They've got the money, they've got the jets, they got everything they want in the world. But, you know, there's only 32 of those championships that can be, teams that can win a championship. And there's some other teams that are flaunting those rings when they go to those owners meetings and, you know, when they're hanging out, you know, hell, man, those guys they got a lot of pride about themselves. So I think that's a big thing for those guys to go out there and try to win a championship. And so for Mike and Chris, this is definitely a prove it year. And it's going to start in the offseason. Who do they pick up in free agency? Who do they get in the draft? You know, all the different things. Who are they going to let go from this team that, you know, that could be a problem, that June 1st cut? We'll see who they let go there. Who are we going to trade for? So much work needs to be done right now because of the fact that, you know, we came up short. And we'll see. We'll see how they perform in the offseason. Then, of course, roll that into the season and see how it goes. Hell, you never know what happens. Like some teams, if things aren't going well, you know, changes could be made mid-season. Who knows? Yeah.
And speaking of problems, what were your thoughts on Tyreek Hill's comments right after the Jets game?
Yeah, you know what, Tyreek, I know heat of the moment. You know, he's a passionate guy. The comments afterwards didn't bother me. The fact that he left the game, wouldn't come back in, is what bothered me more than anything in that game.
Yeah.
You know.
And did you see the Fox clip? They actually captured Waddle asking.
Yep. I did see that, man. And good for Waddle, because I don't know how many people can talk to Tyreek. You know, good for Waddle to actually, you know, question him and pretty much tell him, you know, to leave. And basically, I think is what I pretty much heard. And it's good that Waddle hasn't been infected by some of the wide receivers that we've had in that room that, you know, have this type of ego. You know, wide receivers are big time divas, man. But, you know, when you're a team player, you're on a football team, and you got to be a team player. Tyreek, in my opinion, quit on his team. And that's unacceptable in any sport, especially in football.
Yeah, I agree. And especially for Waddle to get this new contract and he's still acting like that, I'm really high on Waddle. I think he could go down as one of the best receivers in not just franchise history, but like probably close to the best. Like, I mean, he broke the record last year for the first player to have 3 1,000-yard seasons in a row. Like, he's been balling. I'm really happy to see his development.
Yeah, you know, I thought he came up a little short this year, though. You know, I thought, Waddle didn't have the season I'd hope for him. The whole offense, let's just be honest about this, Rich. You know, the whole offense struggled. And when we can't get the ball to those two guys, nobody's going to have a good year. You know, Tyreek going from 961 yards from 1,700 yards twice to 961 yards and very few touchdowns. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not – that's a hard way for us to find a way to win. And Waddle's numbers dropped off too. So, you know, our wide receivers are the ones that make the big bucks. So they got to go out there and make the big plays.
Yeah. And there are bright spots like Devon Achane, and I know Landon can talk about Jonnu Smith. He dropped him in fantasy. These two guys.
Oh, Landon, wait, we did what?
Here, get into this.
My tight ends both put up 0. It was the 1 week Jonnu put up 0. I had 3 tight ends on my roster. All 3 of them put up 0. So I decided to make some changes, and he was one of the changes I made. And next thing you know, he's dropping mad points.
Oh, and he had 2 revenge games against him. He ended up facing him twice, and both times Jonnu went crazy.
I lost first round of the playoffs. So.
No doubt. No doubt. I hear you, man. Yeah, Jonnu was a pleasant surprise. I had him on both my fantasy teams. And, yeah, I had him, and you know what? It was so funny because I get what you're talking about, Landon, because we didn't use him well enough to begin the season. We didn't use him at all in the beginning of the season. And I saw all through training camp when I was going to practice out there, they had all these different packages. They were finding ways to get the ball to him. Then the season starts, and it's like, where's Jonnu at? You know, where's he at? You know, and he was absent in the game plan. He's absent in the game, period. And then all of a sudden, you know, once they couldn't get the ball to Tyreek and couldn't get the ball to Waddle, they finally started finding some Jonnu packages, and that was huge. So he did great for me. I still lost my championship game in fantasy, but at the same time, though, he was a big reason why I even got there.
Yeah. What did the fantasy team look like?
Oh man, my fantasy team was pretty dope. Actually, it took a little time for them to get going, man. I think so. My quarterbacks, I'm gonna tell you right now, because my team was a lot better than I thought it was going to be because I had a rough start in some of my leagues. So my team I had Burrow at quarterback. I had Aaron Jones. At the end, I had Perrine because, you know, I had somebody else that got hurt. I had Mike Evans. I had Adam Thielen, Jonnu Smith, Amon St. Brown. At the end, I had the Dolphins defense because I needed a defense, and I had Dicker as my kicker.
Oh, yeah. Dicker was going nuts. He was winning this guy Skutnik in our league. He was winning him games every single week.
Right. Big numbers. Yeah. So it was so I had a solid score. What I didn't like about my fantasy league, the championship when I lost, it was a 2-week championship. Nice, I see you. It was a 2-week championship, and it went week 17 and 18, and we had guys that weren't playing players, man. So that really
a 2-week championship? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It won't happen again because I bitched so much about it, so it won't happen again.
Huh. And how did that work? So it was just 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, play the same team 2 weeks in a row. You know, I got to week 18, and, you know, some of my guys weren't even playing because they were already, you know, solidified in playoffs, and, you know, they want to get guys hurt. So I'm like, this makes no sense. Even 17. You can't even go to 17, really, because 17 is times where players are being rested. So, yeah, we'll get that fixed next year, I hope.
Oh, yeah. And were you losing week 17, or would you ended up having a win?
I was winning big in 17 and then lost in 18 when it ended up.
That sucks.
Yeah, I was ready to collect. I didn't realize it was 2 weeks, so I called the commissioner. He was like, "Oh yeah, it's 2 weeks." I'm like, man, this is BS.
Oh yeah, and then Devon Achane, he had almost 1,600 total yards this year. He really flourished. I mean, I get that he's like kind of a scat back, not really the power guy, but I think Jalen Wright can definitely fill that role.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought he would too. I thought that Jalen Wright would get more opportunities. It's hard for young guys to get in this offense and be effective. It's so tough to run it. Achane got so many opportunities, and rightfully so. I mean, you get the ball in his hand. He runs routes like a receiver. He catches the ball in the flats very well. He's fast, obviously, but you're right. The tough yards are what we miss from Achane. We got to have somebody that can get us the tough yards. And what's so crazy is you look at Cook from Buffalo. He's not a big guy either, but boy, does he get tough yards. You know, running downhill, and you know, our guys never seem to fall forward. You know, when they get hit, they're either stalemate or they fall sideways. You know, and that's one thing that has to change. We got to have somebody that can get in there and get the 1 and 2 yard runs that you need to sustain drives. We're in shotgun a lot of times because we don't feel tough enough, you know, to go at it hard enough. And you know, when it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, and that's not good. I mean, we don't have a Josh Allen that you can quarterback sneak all the time either.
Yeah, you got to give credit to the Bills O-line too, best O-line in the league.
I might go with Philly on that one, but we'll see. We'll talk about it.
They're up there. I mean, I think
look at them. Those boys are crazy.
I think Allen extending plays really limits the sacks too. Like Allen being so good with his pocket movement, I mean, that definitely helps the big boys out.
Yeah, it does, and also creates holes that don't get called too. But that's another story.
You know? Watch Spencer Brown's tape from this weekend. It was last weekend. It's beautiful.
Okay, all right. I'll do that. I'll get right on that, Landon. As soon as I get off there, I'm gonna look at his tape.
Do you believe with the current regime that we have right now, the Miami Dolphins could bring home a Super Bowl?
With the regime, I do. Some of the personnel, I think we have to figure some things out. We have to get better in so many different areas. Hell, we're going to need 2 new safeties this year too. Who knows what happens at corner if Fuller's not back? The linebacker position I thought got better for us, so that should be pretty good. I think personnel wise though, we got to get better. The coaching and coaching style, it's going to need some work. Mike's got some work to do going into his 4th year. So
for sure, yeah,
he's got some work to do.
Yeah. And I already asked you about Tyreek. What do you think the largest position of need is for the Dolphins?
O-line.
Yeah.
I think O-line. Yeah, we got to get some guys, and we got to get some backup guys that are some maulers, some tough dudes that just want to hit somebody in the mouth, man. Too many guys don't want to hit anybody in the mouth. And I think sometimes that's our style of offense. Our style of offense really is a finesse style of offense where it's not really downhill a lot. And so I think that if we get some dogs in there, I think that's going to help us out. I think on the defensive line, I think Zach Sealer will be back, but I don't know if Calais is going to be back. What do you do about that position? And so we got to get some more dogs in the trenches that are going to just willing to hit somebody in the mouth, man, especially the offensive line.
Yeah. So right now we have a weird problem at edge rusher. So obviously we've seen Chop Robinson came in. He was 4th in pressure percentage behind 3 absolute studs. So he's really came in and he had 6.5 sacks or whatever his sack number was. He had a pretty good rookie year. I think he can really build on that. Are you interested in Abdul Carter at all? Because I've seen a lot of mock drafts him going to the Dolphins. I'm guessing that's assuming we get rid of either Phillips, we don't re-sign him, or Bradley Chubb. Are you interested in him at all? Because I know Penn State.
Oh man, Abdul's a beast, man.
Oh yeah,
he's unbelievable. He's gonna be so good at the next level that I'd rather he come to us than go somewhere else in our division.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're gonna go sitting where we're at. Where are we sitting at? 13, 14? We'll be
13.
13. Yeah. I don't know. I think Abdul might be going in the top 10 from what I've been seeing. So I don't know if we can get to somebody like that. But man, he's gonna be so good in the pros, man. He was so great for us at Penn State. And I'm happy for the young man. A lot of times you want guys to come back for your own selfish reasons. But hell, if you're going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL, man, it's time to go. And, he's going to be special at the next level. But if we would get Abdul opposite Chop, I mean that'd be something fun to watch. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. And then obviously, I don't know how you feel about the U, but what are your thoughts on Cam Ward?
You know what? I watched a lot of games. Obviously watching being down here, I watched a lot of games that Cam played. He's a heck of a talent. He's going to have to learn a lot at the next level still. I think he holds on the ball. We talk about Sam Darnold. He holds onto the ball a lot, trying to make the big play when you don't. Sometimes you can't make the big play every single time. You got to make the right decision. I think Cam will learn that. But he's got all the tools. He really does have all the tools, man. He's got the arm strength. Obviously, he can run. He can. He's got some toughness with him. So he's going to be good at the next level. I think it's going to take a little time to get used to the pro game because the pro game is definitely going to speed up on him.
Yeah, I'm very high on him. I was very excited when he transferred in last year. And I guess they're trying to run it back, kind of. They just had Carson Beck signed there. How do you feel about Carson Beck?
You know what? For $4 million, I don't know how I feel about him, man. He's no Cam Ward, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But he's a smart quarterback. He'll make the right decisions. He'll get the ball out on the time. I mean, the youth problem was their defense, obviously. That was their biggest issue. But I think that the fact that Carson Beck is there, he's a veteran type of guy in college football. It should be good. It should be a good situation for him, man. But man, at $4 million, woo, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
That's a lot of money.
And I don't know, I feel like NIL is such a weird concept. Like how do you think you would have would you have gone for the NIL money back then, or would you have just stayed at Penn State?
Oh, well, Penn State would have to ante up or shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody, that's just the way that it is right now, man. It's so funny. After we lost to Notre Dame, I look on a lot of Penn State social media sites, and everybody's finally getting on board with NIL. NIL's not going anywhere. So I tell people, stop complaining about, whether we got receivers or we got this or that if you don't want to contribute to the NIL. Ohio State has like a $30 million budget, You seen Oregon, Oregon emptied the truck for their guys. They're like, here you go, take whatever you want, and you see how far these guys get. It's just the way it is right now. And that's what's created some of the parity in football. The Alabamas used to be able to say, look, you're going to win a national championship, you're going to get drafted, come to Alabama. Now, you got to put money in these kids' pockets as well, which they deserve. I don't know how much money they deserve. I mean, you're only worth as much as somebody's willing to pay you. But, man, are these kids getting paid coming out of high school and going to these college teams, man? But it's like, I think Penn State makes like $150, $160 million a year. Wow. So why not give some of these kids some of this money? The coaching staff is not drawing these fans in the stands. It's all about these players. So I'm all for NIL, man. I just wish there was some more regulations to it, but I'm all for kids making money. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure over time there will be regulations. I mean, with this new college football playoff, NIL kind of is like working perfectly with it. You get, how many teams is it? 12, 8? How many teams are in the playoffs?
12.
Yeah, you get 12 teams. The actual best team in the nation can get in. Like
exactly
Ohio
right.
State and Notre Dame, they both wouldn't have made it in the top 4.
How about that? Yeah, it'd be what Georgia versus Oregon right now, probably. For national championship. Yeah. And you saw what happened to those guys when you get a 12-team playoff. It's like the NFL. Sometimes it doesn't take it's not the best record that makes the team the best team in the league or in the country. You've seen some teams that are, look at the Minnesota versus the Rams game. You get guys, once teams get in the dance, all bets are off, man. You got to be ready to play every single week and hopefully it works out. Look what happened when the Giants went on that roll and then ended up beating the Patriots who were undefeated. Oh. There are all kinds of situations where all you do is get in the dance and teams start to get better and start playing their best football at the end of the season. I always equate it to when you're getting ready for the Olympics. You don't want to be peaking your first year getting ready for the Olympics when the Olympics are 4 years away. And I think that's how a season goes. Some teams are really good at the beginning, then they fall off. But the teams that start getting better as the season goes along, those are the teams that are the ones that are primed to win a championship because they're not peaking too soon. And I think that's what happened in college football. I think Ohio State and Notre Dame are playing the best football of anybody right now. And I think they deserve to be in the championship for sure.
Who are you rooting for in the championship?
I'm all Big Ten always, man. I'm from Ohio as well, so I got to go with Ohio State. Notre Dame was my second favorite team, or my second team when I was coming out. Ohio State was my third team when I was coming out. Of course, Penn State was the team I went to. So it's kind of like I like them both, but I got to go with my family because my family loves Ohio State, so I hate for them to be upset right now.
That's what I like to hear.
Landon's a pretty big Ohio State fan, so.
Okay. Well, we got something in common, Landon.
Very nice campus. Very nice campus.
Oh, yeah, they do. Their turf is insane.
I'm just talking about the campus in general. That's the dream school right there.
Oh, you want to go to Ohio State?
I do. We'll see how stuff ends up, but very, very nice.
Yeah.
They have a good sports broadcasting program too.
Really?
They do, yeah.
No,
I looked into it.
You better.
Awesome.
You better. It's coming fast. Landon, you better be ready, bro.
Yeah, one more year.
Yeah.
So obviously we talked about, is this their last shot? What does it take for us to bring back Greer and McDaniel? Is it a playoff win, a playoff appearance?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's got to be a win. It's not just an appearance. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a team that show, you might not even you might not win the division. We talked about how good Buffalo is because Buffalo is going to be there as well. But you've got to get in the playoffs and you've got to win a playoff game. You got to somehow find a way to, obviously, if you don't win the division, you got to go on the road and find a way to win. But that's what, you got to find a way to be better than you were. And that's why this year was so disappointing because we took that step back and didn't make the playoffs. And actually the record was abysmal, being 8-9 for the season. And so I think that in order for those guys to get back, it's got to be and it's got to start off early. It's got to be, this team has to show something early in the season. This team can't start off, 1-4 again. They can't do that because Mr. Ross is not going to be happy for a team to come out and be that bad that early. There might be changes soon, earlier than we expect. This team has to come out hot and have to come out and play well early and show some signs that this team has made a step to get better. Yeah. And then after that, you got to look at a team that's got to win 11, 12 games and get into the playoffs and win a playoff game. That's the bottom line for this team right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, for me, honestly, I know that the Miami Dolphins can win 11, 12 games. They won 11 last year. I want to win games in December. I want to win games later in the season. I'm sick of the fall off. I mean, I think we were 11-3 against the Ravens when they were 11-3. We were playing for the 1 seed. We could have gotten the 1 seed if we could just take care of business. And then we end up going in facing the Chiefs in negative 30-degree wind. Like, that's just not a spot that you want to be in, especially for a warm weather team.
Yeah,
so
well, we lost the 1 seed, we lost the 2 seed, and we lost the division in back-to-backs. You know what I mean? And that's why we ended up where we were.
Sounds like an awesome season to me.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I mean, just watching Josh Allen play. I've actually became a Josh Allen fan. I obviously still hate the Bills, but I love watching Allen play just because I know he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And we're literally watching his peak right now.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, if Josh Allen stays healthy, which he probably will, he's a tough dude. He's going to go down as one of the greatest. That's for sure. Still got to get over the hump. Greatest quarterbacks still have to win championships. Same thing that Lamar's dealing with as well. You know, winning big games, winning championships. And going back to what you're talking about with the Dolphins, not just December, but primetime games, big road games against big-time teams. Those are things that they have to figure out a way to win and, you know, show that they can do it. I'm never confident anymore now when they go on Monday night or Thursday night or Sunday night games. I'm never confident anymore when they're playing against the Buffaloes or the Baltimores. You know, I feel great. I felt great against it. I thought we were going to roll the Jets in that last game because the Jets were that bad, you know, and that's the confidence you have against those type of teams. But when the most important time is how do you fare against playoff teams you're going to see in January and hopefully in February, and that's where they're falling short.
Yeah. And could we get a Bills-Ravens prediction?
Oh, man. In Buffalo. Is it in Buffalo?
Yeah.
Yes, it's in Buffalo.
Yeah, Highmark Stadium. I've got oh man, that's gonna be a good one. That's a hard one, man.
Oh yeah.
I'm going 28-24 Baltimore.
Ooh. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
And what do you think the difference is? Just like Derrick Henry, or just?
I think it's gonna be ball control. It's gonna be ball control. It really is. I think that it's gonna come down to who gets one more stop than the other team does. It's gonna be a tight ball game. I think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and those guys, even their defense, I think they're playing at a really high level right now. But both teams are. But I think that going into Buffalo, it's always tough to play. But that's a team that's built that way too. We talked about how Buffalo's built. Baltimore's built the same way. So it's going to come down to, you know, who makes one less mistake and who actually controls the clock. I think it's going to be one hell of that's the game to watch right there for sure.
Yeah. Now, what about you? What are your predictions? Obviously,
he's going to give me a homer pick. Go ahead, Landon. Let me hear it.
You're going to take Buffalo, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's not a confident yes, but I am going to take Buffalo. Am I doing like score?
Yeah, give him a score.
Okay. 27-24. Tyler Bass, game-winning field goal. Kill some narratives for him.
Hey, I don't know. He only wins game-winning field goals against the Dolphins, to be honest. I mean, every single year in Buffalo, it's super close.
That bomb he hit against us up there this year, man. Holy cow.
What was it, 61?
61 yards.
Yeah.
Franchise record.
Stadium erupted.
That was crazy.
Here's the thing. I'm actually not as confident about that Tyler Bass kick anymore, just because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be. I mean, it's pretty windy now. It's supposed to be windy over on Sunday, which I want it to be I wrote a bunch of notes about it earlier, but I think the main thing I wrote was bend, don't break, keep that kind of mentality up on defense. You allow the big play, let them get closer to the touchdown. Just hold them, make the game come up to Justin Tucker's leg, which has not been the most consistent this year. And if it is windy, let the wind take it. And like OJ said, hold the ball. Time up is
relatively low wind. So.
Oh, low wind. All right, we'll take back everything I just said. Contradicts
Hey,
that.
you never know. I mean, the weather.
Yeah, you never know exactly.
Oh,
The weather I've said was
Yeah, I've got some punts in that area, man. It's tough. No, the flags might not be moving, but something's moving. The wind is somewhere. It's doing something up there a lot of times, bro. So I feel you on that for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like he said, holding the ball. Time of possession is going to be huge in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, just this weekend, the Bills had 42 to, I think, like 12 minutes over the Broncos or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't even know if that math doesn't even math, Landon.
No,
What's your math grade?
All right. But it was 40 to something. Okay. They had the ball a lot longer than Denver did, and that obviously showed in a 31-7 game. But at the same time, all about the trenches. If our D-line, which has underperformed all year, I expected a lot more from them. But if that D-line can produce, stop Henry a few times, I'm not talking every play, just a few times, and that O-line can keep Josh up and protected, I think it's going to be pretty hard for Baltimore to win.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They've got to be willing to hit him in that cold weather, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's the hardest thing. Defensive guys struggle with cold weather when it comes to contact more than offensive guys do. And so Derrick Henry is gonna bring a punch. He's got to be ready to come in and hit him. I don't know. Are your safeties up to the challenge to come up and pop him in the mouth?
DeMar is. I think DeMar and Rapp are up for that.
All right.
Anyone else? I don't know.
DeMar's a big hitter.
DeMar and Rapp are both. That's all Rapp tries to do.
That's all he does. Yeah.
All Rapp does is hit.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely up for the hitting. I don't know. I'm a big DeMar fan, so I think DeMar's got it in him. I know a lot of Bills fans, especially on Twitter, which Bills fans on Twitter are kind of idiots. But a lot of them don't like DeMar for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know.
Still, huh? They still don't like him. I thought it was a good move, you guys letting Jordan Poyer go and letting him have the starting.
I don't know.
I think it's his coverage. I think just because he'll have one blown.
One bad play. It'll be one bad play. Like they blamed him for that touchdown, that Troy Franklin touchdown when it was Taylor Rapp's zone, and I think it was Rasul and Mann against him. He just got beat. But they find anything to blame DeMar on. And it's really frustrating. I found myself writing up a lot of tweets defending DeMar this year against people I shouldn't have to defend him against. It's really frustrating.
People on Twitter are ridiculous. They a lot of them don't have any ball knowledge.
I want to beat the Ravens. I want us to progress forward. But another main reason is the amount of bookmarked Ravens fans tweets I have. Oh my God!
You kept receipts, huh? You kept receipts, huh?
I did. But I didn't say anything back to them, so they have no receipts for me. So I can just stay low. Oh, it's gonna be so awesome if we win. If the second, because I'm going to this game. The second I walk out of that stadium, I get in the car, going straight to Twitter, going in all those bookmarks. If it's a win, I'm responding to every single one. I do not like Ravens fans at all. They are very annoying.
I think we feel the same way about Bills fans, bro.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same thing. Just
hey, I'll agree with you. On Twitter, a lot of Bills fans, they annoy me too.
It's rough.
So
everybody's got a bad fan base, man. I think even the Chiefs at 15-1, 16-1, or whatever they are, 15-2, their fans, they probably give them crap about certain things. Like, what do you have to bitch about, yo? What are they complaining about, man? Top of the world for the last 5 years. You know what I mean? Stop it already.
Literally own the AFC.
Right.
Mahomes has never not been in the championship game.
No, I know. Like every time, they have a close game, they always post this pain cycle with them. I'm like, dude, you guys have won how many Super Bowls the past 5 years? To get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one last thing. I mean, it's on the topic. Who's your MVP? Because personally, stat-wise, Lamar Jackson pops out at you. Who's your MVP of the National Football League?
Man, I wish they could wait until after this weekend, right? To decide that. I would say winner takes all this weekend, right? That'd be ideal. It's either those two. I would, and the fact that Josh and Lamar are quarterbacks. I like Saquon a lot in this mix too.
Yeah,
I thought Saquon had a hell of a season, but it's going to go to a quarterback because both of those guys had such outstanding seasons. Both of their teams played so well, and at this point right now, I think Josh has the edge right now. I really do. I really do think he has the edge right now. I mean, what he's done this year has been absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm. And with less help, a lot less help is what the argument that I've been seeing a lot is.
Yeah, he's done it on his own.
Doing it with Henry, but Allen's doing it with who? Khalil Shakir as your best
Whoa,
option.
whoa, James Cook. Don't.
Yeah, James
All
Cook.
right, listen. James Cook.
Oh, so you're saying so Landon, you're saying he shouldn't get it then?
I actually don't know.
He's saying he's
I'm
got a
gonna
lot
be
of
completely
help.
honest
He's
with
saying
you.
he's got a lot of help too.
No, I'm not hating on Shakir. I'm just saying, like, Zay Flowers and Shakir, I'm taking Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Lamar and Josh, and for like the MVP voters, I don't know their criteria. A lot of the time they lean to stats. Last year they obviously didn't lean to stats. I don't know what they're voting off. Like I just as a fan, it's hard for obviously as a biased Bills fan, I want Josh Allen to win. But at the same time, I like Lamar. Lamar is one of the most. He's like an ultimate weapon in football.
They both broke so many records this year.
Exactly.
Like, it's so hard.
It's just I want a co-MVP. That's what I want. I want both of them to have that trophy.
I know they got an incentive package. I mean, there's got to be some. There's money involved in the MVP trophy for those guys too. I know they make a gazillion dollars already, man. But who wouldn't want another extra $1 million in their bank account to do whatever in the offseason with, right?
I think Josh gets 3.5 if he wins it.
3.5 he wins it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in his contract.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it's like
that's a nice little deal right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, he's got some escalators to win the Super Bowl. He's got all kinds of money, I'm sure, that these guys can win along the way. And, I'm going to tell you what, the players that appreciate it more are the guys that don't make all the money that, they're making maybe league minimum. Every step in the playoffs, man, that's that extra 100, whatever $1,000 a week that they could use, So it's big for everybody, man. That's why no matter what, man, this is a team sport. You got to go out there playing for the man next to you. If everybody plays for the man next to you, your team will go out there and be successful.
Yeah, I agree. OJ, thank you so much for coming on once again.
Man, always a blast with you guys, man. I'm glad we finally were able to make it happen, brothers. We'll do it again, all right? We'll talk after the Super Bowl, all right?
Oh, for sure. I'm super excited for this offseason. We have a lot planned. And obviously, we'll definitely have you on one more time. A couple, obviously, but I'm just super excited for the future. And hopefully Buffalo loses and
Bills win the Super Bowl.
No, hopefully.
Hey, if the Bills win, I won't be coming back on, though.
I said hopefully. I got you.
No doubt.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got the guy in Kansas City over there too that you have to deal with. And how many times have you beat him in the playoffs?
Stop. I don't like his name.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great day, babe. Thank you guys for having me on, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Everyone like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Peace.